Hi, it's Kelly, and today we are in Fremont and just talking to people who are really involved with helping out nonprofits in the area. We feature nonprofits all the time on Blair Radio and Saunders County Online. Today I have Kurt with us today. Kurt Brown, right?
Correct, yeah.
And he is with Rebuild Together right here in Fremont. And we wanted to learn a little bit more about that because we just kind of came across this a while ago, but Rebuild Together has been around a long time. But before we get into that, tell a little bit about your story. You are from Fremont, or at least you've been involved in Fremont for a long time. How has that been?
Yeah, I've been almost a lifelong resident of Fremont. Some people will remember we owned Buck Shoes here in Fremont and had a store in Omaha too, and closed those about 6 years ago, and now I've landed here Rebuilding Together, and so it's a kind of an exciting change.
Yeah, so that's actually a big change going from corporate, that's your business, trying to make money, to basically doing something that belongs to the community as a nonprofit is.
Correct.
And so it doesn't really, it's not you're building your own thing, you're building something to help out for the community. How did that change, that transition come about?
Well, I had done a couple things in between the shoe store and this, but I had done a lot of volunteer work as a community business owner, and had done fundraising and things like that, and so that was kind of the area I thought I wanted to get into. Rebuilding Together is an awesome organization. I'm not saying that just because I'm involved in it, but I just really believe in the mission that we do and the people that we help.
So let's talk a little bit about the mission.
Okay.
That would be Rebuilding Together. Again, it's been in Fremont for quite some time. There are people that obviously don't know what it is, so we want to know, what is the purpose? Where did this come from?
Sure, and it's kind of interesting because we were at a conference in Oklahoma City a couple of weeks ago. Rebuilding Together nationally has a new CEO, and we, sometimes we kind of joke that we're the world's best kept secret.
Right.
Her goal is, she said, in a couple 3 years we are no longer going to be the world's best kept secret.
Yeah.
So people know about us, but that's one of the things I was hired for, was to make sure that the community really knew what we do. So what we do, for the most part, is we do home repairs for low-income people. They have to qualify as low-income for health and safety reasons at no cost.
Okay.
So somebody let's say in Dodge County, for example, the threshold's roughly $50,000 for like a 1 to 2 person household. So as long as they're making less than that, we can help them. We go in and we do things like handicap ramps. We do a lot of bathroom modifications where somebody's got a traditional bathtub and they can no longer climb over to get in. It's not safe for them to do that, so we go in and put in a walk-in shower. Things like that. We just, in fact, this morning, as we're talking about Blair in Washington County, I just wrote a check for a plumbing and heating company for $8,800. We put in a new furnace for a woman over in Blair. So sometimes people's sewers go out and we replace those, water heaters, roofs, anything like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. People need help, but there's a lot of people out there that don't ask for it because they may think, well, we just make a little bit too much, or that threshold is a lot larger than most people realize.
It is, and like in Washington County, off the top of my head, I want to say it's more like 60,000. So,
right.
It varies from county to county. Because we do a 30-mile radius around Fremont.
Okay.
So, except we don't go into the metro areas of Douglas and Sarpy County. So we hit, all our parts of about 8 counties. So we hit a lot of rural areas. So each county's threshold is a little bit different, but there are a lot of people that need help.
And that's the thing you want to be able to put out there is, if you do need help, don't be afraid to ask. If nothing else, you guys can probably help. If they don't qualify one thing, but you might be able to guide them somewhere else. Exactly.
We work with a lot of other nonprofit agencies and things that give us referrals, and sometimes, like there was a case we had earlier this year. The woman, she needed a lot of help. We went to see her on a January morning, and she knew it had snowed the night before because she literally had snow in her living room. She had a literal hole in her roof.
Wow.
So we've helped with that, but she also had a huge hoarding problem.
Oh.
And so we've gotten her help from some other agencies that can kind of help her with some of the things that's beyond our scope of services.
And with that, again, it's just teaming up with other services, other nonprofits, other agencies around, whether it's with the state or as well. Do you work with just a variety. So how can people learn more about you?
Well, we have our website, Rebuilding Together, and our affiliate is called Platte Valley East. So our website's rebuildingtogetherpve.org. And so there's lots of information on there about that, or they can call us at the office and we'll give them all the information that they need. Our homeowners application is on our website. We're very involved in social media. We have a Facebook page, Instagram, so people can learn about us in a lot of ways.
Well, not only be able to learn about the needs, but also how about those individuals are like, we need it at some point, but we're in a better position now. How can we help somebody else?
Exactly.
Is that something that you can kind of tie together?
Definitely. We're constantly fundraising. So a lot of our projects, when we talk about the income-based things that we do, we get grants from Federal Home Loan Bank. And so that's where we do the work for most of our homes. But there are times, sometimes they're very strict. If the income limit in Dodge County is $50,525 and somebody's income is $50,526, we can't help them with that.
Right.
So we have other sources of funds sometimes that when we have somebody that's in a situation like that. Sometimes if they live in a floodplain, some of our funding doesn't work for that.
Right.
So we have some unrestricted funds that we use from time to time to cover those kinds of people that we can't help through the grants, like through Federal Home Loan Bank.
Right.
And then we're doing something kind of unique. A year ago in December, we bought a house here in Fremont that had been a rental property. Very poor condition. It turned out it was even worse condition than we thought. And so we are renovating it. We'll be selling it to a first-time home buyer. Because affordable housing everywhere is not available.
Right.
And so this will be available to a first-time home buyer. We're getting close. We're actually taking applications to purchase the house. So it's not going to be like you traditionally go work through a realtor and you make an offer and then you counter offer. We have a set selling price of $165,000.
Yeah.
And people will apply, and then we'll have an independent committee look at the applications and pick the buyer that way.
So that's a starter home that's like $100,000 plus, less than starter home prices are.
Typically, yes. It's a small house, but it's it's a starter home, and so it's and everything in it's going to be brand new.
Yeah.
It's a house that was built in 1900, but there's very little of 1900 left. Everything's brand new. All new appliances, electric, HVAC, plumbing, everything brand new.
But that is a big deal, having affordable housing, and housing in our area, whether it is in Washington, Dodge, or Saunders County, trying to, there's a lot of industry out there trying to move in.
Exactly.
A lot of workforce housing is needed.
Right.
And that's kind of the next step. What is the future for you guys looking at?
So we're hopefully, once we get done with this house, we'll sell it. We'll make a small profit off of it, and then we'll look for another house to do again, as well as continuing to work on our projects, with homeowners. The transition I took over in 2023, in October 2023, and so that was kind of a slow year. We did like 16 projects that year. Last year we did almost 50. So the need is great, and so we're constantly looking at doing more projects all the time as our funding permits.
And then as people ask, because the more you get asked, the more you can write grants for.
Exactly.
It's that cycle. The more people that you come across that need,
Yep.
the more you can reach out to the resources to try to bring that in.
Right.
So again, that just goes back into, don't be afraid to ask for help in our communities.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people that have, if you have that project, it's like, I'm just trying to limp my furnace along because I can't afford to get a new one or get it repaired or anything like that. Resources like this, Rebuilding Together PVE, could certainly be an asset to anybody out there. So don't be afraid to ask.
Definitely.
I can't hesitate, because we're proud individuals, right?
Right.
We grew up in the Midwest, right?
Right.
We're here to help others, not necessarily get help ourselves.
Exactly. And a lot of times we get referrals, and the people are like, "Oh, you can't do that for me."
Right.
And it's like, yeah, we can. And you've worked. Sometimes they're older people, especially, that have a lot of pride. And
Yep.
They've worked all their lives, and now they find themselves that they're not making a lot of money, but they
Yeah.
need things done. And that's what we're here for. those people that are better off, a couple opportunities we've got coming up, a couple fundraisers people could help us with.
Yeah.
One in particular would be a really easy thing. It doesn't cost a lot of money. We are going to be having a concert at the Fremont Opera House on Sunday, April 6th. Brad Kolarek is a fairly nationally known folk singer. Actually, is a University of Nebraska-Lincoln graduate and was a college fraternity brother of mine, and so he's putting on a performance at the Opera House. $20 tickets in advance, $25 at the door. James Arthur Vineyards is going to have wines there, so it'll be a fun Sunday afternoon. Again, that's April 6th from 3 to 5 o'clock at the Opera House in Fremont. And then our big fundraiser every year is our annual golf tournament, which is Friday, May 2nd at the North Bend Golf Course. And so if people want to play golf or they want to sponsor a hole or do something like that, they can contact us. And it's a way for businesses and individuals to help out Rebuilding Together very easily.
And then don't forget, there's always like the Giving Tuesdays and things
Right,
like that come up. There are really big pushes there, but it's the everyday that we want to make sure.
And our Giving Tuesday, actually this year is going to be Thursday in Fremont, the big give, May 8th. So that's coming up too. So we've got 3 big fundraisers right in a row.
Well, then you have May 8th, then in Washington County, you guys need to get onto that one for Washington County Gives, and at the end of November to December. So again, multiple times to give, but again, the need is always there.
Yeah, the need is always there, and that's the thing that's amazed me the most about taking over this position as executive director. Is I had no idea how much need there was, and how bad, like the woman I'm talking about that had a hole in her roof. I mean, she lived in a decent house on a nice major street in Fremont. I mean, you'd have no clue.
People hide things very well, because they don't want to know, and everybody knows somebody like that, And so again, you were talking about referrals. If you come across somebody you're like, they are in need of something, don't hesitate.
Give us a call.
So again, you can go to the website, which is
Rebuilding Together PVE, which stands for Platte Valley East. RebuildingTogetherPVE.org.
Okay, well, thank you very much for letting us know about what you're doing and the reach that you're doing. It is not just Fremont. It's kind of like you're covering Three Rivers Public Health area.
Sort of, Actually, I think even a little bigger, maybe.
A little bit bigger because you're getting into a couple of other counties. But again, if you have any questions, if you have needs, or you feel the desire to be able to help somebody else out, another great opportunity right here in our area to be able to help out our friends, our neighbors through RebuildingTogetherPVE.org.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.